Hey, it's House of Decline, and to get more House of Decline, go to patreon.com/House of Decline. That's HAUS of Decline, because we're funny like that. We're weird guys, that's why you want to give us money. So patreon.com/House of Decline, for as little as $3 a month, you get 30 extra comics a month. That's crazy. That's an insane amount of comics. No sane person would give you that amount of comics. But, you know, we're doing it because here we are not gripped by the recesses of sanity. No, we are forever steeped in the line between what is real and what isn't.
Yeah, we got other things that grip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got penis gripping power. We have prehensile penises.
I was going to say our butts. Our butts have the grip.
We gripping power with the butts. That's a pretty funny image to clamshell something with your butt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I do the old clamshell with your buttocks.
Yeah, I do it like this with the soap, you know, in the shower. Because it's like I need both my hands to do the scrubbing. I go scrub-a-dub-dub. And I need something to hold the soap. I don't have any kind of soap holder in the shower, so I clamshell it.
So you clamshell your buttocks. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's always been my dream that, you know, the problem with sand is, you know, you get a bit of sand in your asshole. You want to get it out there. But if you leave it in there, it's like an oyster. It's like a bivalve, you know. It'll accumulate various metals and debris, and it'll become a shit pearl eventually, you know, if you leave the sand in your asshole.
Do you think there's someone who hasn't bathed long enough to make a pearl that way in their butt crack?
Make a shit pearl?
Yeah.
I think
it could be done.
I guess it's just like an accumulation of dingleberries, you know. Mm-hmm. Which is, you know what's the worst? Toilet paper. I need to get rid of toilet paper. I'm done with toilet paper. It's a garbage invention. Just leave shit on your butt, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you eat the right diet, then you don't need it anymore. One thing I experienced during COVID was that I had really good and clean poops. And I would recommend everyone going out there and trying to get COVID because your poops improve by a lot. I mean, they were amazing.
What was it? Were you just eating healthier because of the COVID?
No,
Were you just eating more soups and vegetables?
So during COVID, when I had it a couple of weeks ago, I just started stealing ice cream from the grocery store. I know. I went into
man.
Went into a COVID brain fog, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck $6. $6 for ice cream? Are you kidding?
You're running down like Renton and Train Spotting with your ice cream.
Yeah, so I started doing the self-checkout scams on the ice cream at the grocery store, stealing as much ice cream as I could, just in a brain fog. And all I ate so much ice cream. And I think maybe it's the ice cream that gave me the amazing poops. See, that's not everyone can do that. I'm lactose intolerant. If I eat ice cream like that, you know, it's going to be a sputtering Jackson Pollock festival. That's funny. I saw some funny Walter Matthau jokes about poops. You should go go look on Johnny Carson Walter Matthau for his
Walter Matthau poop jokes. These old-timey poop jokes.
His poop jokes are great.
Yeah. You know when you have those poops and your asshole sputtering like an old-timey car starting up? It's going like... Have you ever heard Mel Blanc's old-timey car starting up?
No, the voice actor Mel Blanc?
Yeah, the voice actor Mel Blanc on the old Jack Benny show, he had a great bit where he was imitating like an old 1920s... You know, one of the cars that you had to crank up with a fucking crank. He's imitating that, and it's a classic bit every time. Yeah, if you could find it, because I really want to illustrate. You know, after eating ice cream, this is what my asshole would sound like.
Okay, here, I'm gonna play it. Let's see. It's Mel Blanc impression of a dying 1926 Maxwell pickup.
That's the one.
Well, one time, they were supposed to be the sound of his Maxwell. He had a 1926 Maxwell, and the phonograph record that sound effects men used. Had the motor sound on it, and they'd hold their finger on it to make it go slow and stop. Well, when it came to that cue, I saw that they had forgot to put the electric plug into the socket. And I jumped up to the microphone, and I made like a 1926 Maxwell.
Yes, and so that's what my asshole would sound. It sounds like a 1920s Maxwell losing power car. He does a good impression of a car. He does good sound effects.
Well, there's how many more results are there for this? Not that many. I guess there's more. There's more Mel Blanc. Here's another one.
Here's another one.
I should put that on the sampler, you know.
Yeah, the soundboard. Get out the old soundboard.
We had to fill out our soundboard. We got beep. No, that's clap. We got beep. Wait, no, that's clap. We got beep. There we go. Beep. We got clapping. We got laughing.
Hell
we got more laughing.
We're regular radio guys now. We're true media assholes now.
Yeah, I need to put sputtering car sound. Alex's sputtering asshole.
We need clips from 90s movies.
Like which
we
ones?
need like clips from Fight Club. I watched Fight Club again.
Oh,
and it's very funny what the worries and preoccupations of Gen X were.
What were they? What were they worried about?
That they just had no place in this world. We've lost our masculinity, and do not fuck with us. Everything is IKEA. The corporation. So much of 90s movies was just about listing a series of brands. Sarcastically.
Yeah,
Gucci,
I mean that's like
IKEA, Starbucks.
2000s hip hop is listing a series of brands earnestly.
That's true. the Great Divide. That's. At any rate, we're listing a series of brands. It's interesting because, it is doing advertising for IKEA while denigrating it in the movie. I wonder if they got any money from IKEA to post a bunch of IKEA stuff in that movie.
IKEA is really annoying to shop online. Have you ever tried? You have to go to the store. You can't ever really buy anything online. They have like a flat shipping fee. It's like $60 of shipping. So you can't just order one or two things from IKEA. Very annoying.
Yeah. It's good. I ordered in bulk, as you're supposed to.
No. What? What did you order in bulk?
I had to decorate my entire apartment. I bought a big table. I bought a big work table. It's okay. All the shit is falling apart. IKEA fucking size, flimsy ass shit. I shouldn't be putting furniture together. I am not competent. I don't have the motor skills to do this shit. I'm not some sort of rough-hewn, wood back. I'm a cartoon man.
Can you say that?
What?
Can you say wood back? Is that something you can say?
I don't know what That's just my slur towards carpenters. It's wood.
Sawdust head or something.
Yeah. Say, hey, you sawdust brain. Hey, sawdust fingers. Why don't you go lacquer up your mother? Huh? Why don't you go put a sheen of lacquer all over her, and bathe her in lacquer, and make her drink lacquer. Yeah. What are lacquer heads? That is something.
Do they? I don't think they do lacquering anymore. Email us at houseofdecline@gmail.com if you know anything about lacquer.
Make a fancy table and put some epoxy in it for some weird effects,
Yeah, I think they all up on that polyurethane these days.
Yeah, everyone's doing polyurethane.
I got polyurethane.
That's not really carpentry. That's more woodworking than carpentry.
I got multiple urethras.
I have a narrow polyurethra. There you go. Damn it, Bobby. I was trying to work on my Hank Hill impression. It's not that good.
So yeah, Fight Club. I like that they have the Pixies in there.
Yeah, right at the end there. They also have all the funky EDM. It's not Paul Oakenfold. That's what I really meant. That was like a great year for like. I mean, I talk smack about Fight Club. It's a perfect movie. It's a wonderful movie. It's like it ages from the Gen X, but it's a bolt of lightning every time you see it. It's super fun. The costumes are great. I love the costumes, Some legendary fits in that movie. I haven't been fucked like that since grade school is it's a funny line. Mm-hmm. It's gross. It's really grimy. It is the apotheosis of Fincher's super grimy era, after Seven, which is a super dumb movie. Hey. Fight Club is like Seven's also a great movie. I love the movie,
but Seven was dumb, and I was like, I replied to you on Twitter, and I don't think you liked it. So I was like, I got him.
Did you not? Did you get me? What did you say?
I said, I don't think you understood its themes.
Its themes are that Kevin Spacey is weird. That's the themes of Seven.
Okay, there's 7 I have to explain it to you. There are 7 deadly sins, okay? Mm-hmm. And sins are things that you do that are bad. Like murder.
The dialogue is so fucking great in it. It's all of this, it's this very writerly stuff, where they encounter Pride, and her face is all mangled, and she's holding objects in either of her hands, and the Brad Pitt cop says, "Looks like he cut off her nose," and Morgan Freeman said, "Despite her face." Dude, just gems of lines like that.
The thing about Seven is that it's for people who are 7 years old. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it's a week. It's 7 days. He does it over the course of 7 days. 7 keeps coming up.
Yeah. See, that kind of complexity in film was not repeated until 24, where it was in 24 hours.
Absolutely, yeah. We need to have more shows that are numbers. We need to have more entertainment properties that are number. Like, I'm interested in anything that's just a number. Like the number 23, for example.
Well, they should do a show called 365, and it's every day.
You adjust, my friend, but that's This Is Us 365 is going to happen.
We should pitch that to Netflix. Like, okay, the show is called 365. And every day we put out a show, and it's different every day. Or maybe it's the same thing every day. What would be better, different every day or the exact same thing every day?
I think there would be slight variation. I think, you watch a string of episodes, very little happens, and then, one episode, someone gets a heroin bullet to the head. Because they're making heroin bullets now. That's the most fucked up thing I can think of.
And I just want to give out a warning to all the trick-or-treaters who are going to be trick-or-treating tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. You need to really watch out for the fentanyl candy, okay?
Yeah.
I'm hearing upwards of 75% of all candy has fentanyl in it.
Yeah.
I'm talking Kraft caramels. I'm talking Werther's Original.
Yeah. They call things. That Werther's Original Fentanyl. They're calling that now.
You know what?
Butterfinger, talk about butter fentanyl.
It was my birthday last week, and I turned somewhere in my 30s. I stopped keeping track, and I was not having a great day, so I went to the grocery store and did a bunch of shopping, and I was like, I'm going to buy a bunch of candy. So I loaded my cart up with candy, and then I was like, wait a minute. It's the week before Halloween. This is the most expensive candy that I could potentially buy. You know what? I'm gonna wait until next week after Halloween. Go back. Then I'm gonna get the candy and stuff my
all the face. Discount candy. Yeah, they're liquidating all the candy.
I'm gonna get Twix. I got this Haribo sour spaghetti. You ever have that?
Yeah, those Haribos are great. They give you diarrhea.
It's very hard to eat the Haribo sour spaghetti, and they give you a lot. They give you a big serving. Well, you know what I noticed? I don't like to mix the spaghettis. They're different colored, and
they have different various candy spaghettis.
I don't mix these spaghettis in my mouth.
No, I can't mix the spaghettis. No, they have an opposing taste.
They have weird. That would be the red ones and the green ones. It's like they don't really go together. They got red ones, green ones, blue ones. And I had to sort them. I'm a very normal guy. I sort my candy by color.
Sort your candy. Sort your candies by color. That's what everyone does,
Did you ever do that on Halloween with your candy? You sort it?
Yeah, I think I did that. I always hated Halloween when I was like the actual act of going to houses and trick-or-treating. I was like, I was tired after the fourth house.
You kept getting molested too. So
yeah, all the molestations, the consistent molestations.
You were just such a hot child.
Also, they were just mixing the spaghettis during the molestations, because during the molestations in Halloween, they'd have a candy bowl out that, I could take,
Did you see the video of the little kid dumping an entire candy bowl in his backpack and then giving
the middle finger?
The middle finger to the Ring doorbell?
That's a classic, man. I would have been friends with that kid. And but I would not have engaged in his antics because I am too timid.
Where are his parents?
Raising an awesome little dude.
His parents are at the bar giving the finger.
Yeah. They're stealing beers from behind the bar and giving the finger to the barbacks. Yeah.
Dude, that move where the barback is turned his back and you take your glass and you reach around the counter and you fill it up from the keg thing. Such a badass move.
Have you ever done that successfully in front of someone and impressed them?
When I was a alcoholic, I drank alone in my apartment and watched cooking videos and talked to myself and like, oh, I should make that. I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna wrap these jalapenos in bacon.
That's what the George Thorogood song "I Drink Alone" is all about.
Oh yeah, we covered that together. We played that together.
I drink alone, making jalapeno bacon.
The thing that was scary is I would wake up in the morning like 11 and the stove is on, like my gas stove is open.
That's not funny, but it's, it's old alcoholism. I could have died.
Like, wow, I guess it's fine to leave the stove on for 12 hours. Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
I think, speaking of, common crimes or common mishaps involving alcoholism, I think it would be cool that if there was a secret club that you could only get into if you drunk drive.
Okay, I could be in that club.
Yeah, but you got to do it more than once. You got to do it like at least 5 times, to prove that you're in the drunk driving club.
I think I'm in the maybe 50 to 100.
No, don't admit that.
Why? I'm sorry.
It's fine.
What? I'm not supposed to tell people about my drinking days? I mean,
you never killed anybody.
It was in
you never did anything.
It was in a very rural area where there was not really anyone there. But yeah, there were some times where I drove where I was like, why are there 2 of everything? This is stupid. Who made this? This is stupid. There's 2 of those cars. Like the worst time I ever did it was like I was early in my drinking days. I think I was 21, and I was like, just really in a bad place. So I was like taking all my dad's blood pressure medicine.
Why? What does it do to you?
I was like very fucked up. I was like, I'm going to take all of my dad's prescription pills.
Okay.
And then I'm going to drink a bottle of wine.
Sure.
And then I'm going to go see, what's that movie about Slumdog Millionaire? I took all my dad's blood pressure medicine, drank a bottle of wine, drove to go see Slumdog Millionaire. And then I went to the diner. And on the way to the diner was when I was like, why are there fucking 2 of everything? I was like, what the fuck? There's 2 cars. Why the car looked like there's 2 of the same car, 2 stop signs. And I passed out for Slumdog Millionaire because, the blood pressure medicine
it makes you sleepy with the wine. Also, which is, saying something, because Slumdog Millionaire is a rip-roaring good time. You can't be bored during that movie unless you have taken all of your dad's blood pressure medicine.
There's only one other movie that I've passed out completely for, and it was Gran Torino.
That's interesting. What were the circumstances?
I think I was super hungover for Gran Torino, so I went in and I had some great sleep. I just passed out by the time the first preview was on.
It's a soothing movie. There's a lot of soft jazz piano in Gran Torino.
I think it's just like that racism just really relaxed me or something.
It really endeared you.
This reminds me of home.
Yeah. That it's such an endearing movie. An old racist becomes unlikely friends with a young Hmong teenager. Where is it? Minnesota? It's in Minnesota or something like that.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you one thing about that movie.
Yeah, but he's racist, but then he turns out to be a good guy. Is a great
we can't really say the same about Mr. Kanye West, also known now as Ye.
Yeah. No one's doing it though.
No one's doing what?
No one's doing Ye. No one's calling him Ye.
Well,
I see no one embrace that.
Because it's like, Muslim Tom on Twitter is saying everyone needs to stop dead naming Ye.
Dead naming Ye, yeah. I don't think. People don't seem to take him seriously with this one. But he's, people really won't give you respect or offer you that respect if you seem to be in a place where you're proliferating a lot of negative things, a lot of negative ideas.
Well, yeah, it kind of happened with Puff Daddy too. Didn't Puff Daddy changed his name to?
He's called something. He went by Diddy, but Diddy stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Diddy ended up. Lots of celebrities have changed their names, but it didn't really like Prince changed his name to the symbol.
Well, that was a record label dispute.
Yes, that is true. But he also changed his name to a lot of other stuff as well, I
wonder if John Lennon would have changed his name if he survived that gunshot wound, Imagine if John Lennon didn't die, but he was just like mentally disabled from the gunshot wound. And it was like, just like, I don't know anymore.
No.
I can't do guitar now.
Don't do feeding tube John Lennon is not a.
Imagine there's no candy.
Oh no! Feeding tube John Lennon, dangerous. Imagine there's no candy is you. That's your. I guess that would be your hellish world.
Yeah, that's when I go to the grocery store the week after Halloween. It's all gone. All the candy's gone.
J.K. Rowling tried to do a name change that didn't stick with her male author. Yeah, she tried to publish under a male author name to prove that, her books are just as good even if she didn't have the Rowling name attached to it. And I think the book tanked. And so then they started promoting it under her name in order to sell more.
I read the first two of her mystery books. They're okay.
Galbraith. She goes by Robert Galbraith.
They were okay. I don't know. Not as good.
People don't want to call her Robert Galbraith. Then.
Not as good as original Harry Potter. Whew, that shit slaps.
That shit slaps so hard. My memories of voraciously reading those books throughout my early teenage and then later teenage years, much to my embarrassment. It's embarrassing to be like an 18-year-old and reading Harry Potter,
I remember when I was 17,
by then.
I took my girlfriend at the time to get to the event to get the very last book, which came out right before we went to college. It was fun. I got good memories. She sucks, obviously, but it's like, I don't get why if you make $1 billion, why don't you just go fuck off and live on an island? Why do you have to be addicted to Twitter?
I mean, that's the question with Kanye too. But, with Kanye, there's a professed value in seeing himself as the avatar of the zeitgeist. I mean, Kanye's
got a mental illness, and everyone is like, oh, I didn't know mental illness could make you anti-Semitic. But yes, it can. It
makes you do terrible things. Yeah.
He's got a mental illness, and he's fucked up about his divorce. So, anyway, let's listen to the most recent thing he said. Should we listen to it?
Yeah, let's listen to the most recent thing he said.
Let's see what he's got to say most recently, as of yesterday.
Yeah.
Drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor that diagnosed me of having a disorder that would have had me on medication right now. At a time like this, if I was on medication right now, then one pill could have been swapped out and it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again. But because I didn't take the misdiagnosis and I didn't take the medication, I'm able to speak to you guys clear of thought and transparently. So this right here.
Did he just say that the doctors killed Michael Jackson and Prince? I guess they did they?
Well, I think the one doctor, I think he was in Michael Jackson's case, was found to be negligent in overprescribing painkillers to him.
Now, Prince, was that doctor something we shall not say? Can we not say it? Was he? He
wasn't a Jewish doctor. He was a black guy. I think Prince just OD'd on fence. I don't know who prescribed Prince's fence, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, Prince was in like an immense amount of pain all the time, right?
Yeah. Was he?
Yeah,
I don't know much on my Prince history.
And his knees were fucked up from years of stage dancing and doing all these crazy moves. He was in an incredible amount of pain. That's why he was on opiates. So, he's up now in Jehovah's Witness heaven.
Hell yeah, he made it. They have a limited number of spots in Jehovah's Witness heaven, which I always found to be an amazing part of that religion.
We get letters. We get like handwritten letters from the Jehovah's Witnesses being like, the end is nigh. The world, like, and it's weird. They're like, as you can see, the world is clearly collapsing. I'm like, what is it? I don't know. The grocery store's open.
Well, why are they saying it's collapsed? It would be funny if they took like an environmental route for it. It's like, because of global warming, you should become a Jehovah's Witness.
The Mississippi River's all dried up as it was foretold.
Yeah, which is why we have to, not get blood transfusions.
Oh, right. They don't do that. I mean,
they don't do that or celebrate birthdays.
I used to say no one can take my blood, but that was before I learned that the only way to get these forever chemicals known as PFAS out of your system is to donate blood. So it's actually healthy to donate blood, and it's good for you. So go do it. There's always a blood shortage. There's always
bloodletting. It's coming back, baby.
Well, you don't want to just waste it.
You don't want to, waste your blood willy-nilly all over the place. Just bleed everywhere,
Don't just waste it.
Like a comet. Oh, no, just me and my buds for bleeding out today, doing a little bleeding. Doing a little bloodletting?
But yeah, a little bit. The ancients were right, it seems. They knew. They foretold the existence of PFAS. King Arthur and shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep listening to Kanye. He had some more to say here.
And more to say on Kanye?
Is a chart of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal.
He's just...
The thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish.
Dang, and they're all red. So there are a lot of Jewish people who are executives.
That image is from 2013 4chan, which is very funny.
You know what I find to be a little interesting? What? No, never mind. Never mind.
What are you about to say?
Why?
What about 6 million?
That's not what I was going to say. Why? What's his problem? What do you think his problem is?
Oh, I know. I think there has been historical, maybe not exploitation is a wrong word, but I think, that's what the movie Uncut Gems talks about. Talks about this sort of relationship of strange interaction between Jewish people and black people in America. How Jewish people aspire to be white, but they're not white. But there's this aspirational quality to get there, In the movie, Howie, played by Adam Sandler, he's described by Damani, what's that? Lakeith Stanfield character. He's described as a crazy ass Jew. It's important to this character he's Jewish, right? And he's constantly aspiring to the Christians in the movie. Like, he owes Christians money, and they always have big crosses on them. They're always, white guys higher up on sort of the white guy totem pole than he is. And Julia Fox, who is always shown she's a Gentile, always shown prominently wearing a cross. And in the movie, it starts out in the mines in Ethiopia, in Beta Israel, where there are, Jewish Israelites. And the movie is about exploiting their labor, eventually exploiting their labor to get this black opal, which contains, the history of Judaism and Africa and human evolution and everything in it that he eventually exploits Kevin Durant for. Kevin Garnett. Is it Kate? It's Kevin Garnett. Who is it in the movie?
I don't know. While you look that up, I was reading a op-ed by James Baldwin from 1967 that was published in the Times. And I guess I need to replace everything with just black people because he says Negro a lot, and I guess you're not supposed to say that.
You can say it in the context of James Baldwin saying it.
Okay.
Or do what you feel is right.
Well, basically, I can sort of sum it up. Let me see. I just lost. Okay. So he says, in the American context, the most ironical thing about Negro anti-Semitism is that the Negro is really condemning the Jew for having become an American white man, for having become, in effect, a Christian.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's an interesting take from James Baldwin, who's, I think, pretty well respected, right? I mean, I've always
absolutely
thought very high opinion. So,
he was also in the context of an older time when the conversation was slightly different as well. But I think the difference between Jewish people and black people is Jewish people can pass as white, and there's that weird quality which undergirds the nature of their relationship. So there has been this, because Jewish people, and part of the thing which makes people anti-Semitic is the idea that Jews are duplicitous. The idea that we're hiding something. We look white, but we're not. We could be any one of you. There's this, because it's the same thing with gay people. The hate against gay people. The fact that you can be secret about it is something that's always attached to us for some reason. So, but I think, Jewish people also, in their relationship with black people in the U.S., especially you see in the music industry, sort of use their experience as minorities and having been oppressed in order to endear themselves to the black community, because our struggles largely are the same and have been the same throughout history. Why wouldn't we, share this knowledge of oppression? We have always been under the thumb of some colonial oppressor. Why wouldn't we get together on this? And through using that relationship, there have been, obviously, things that went wrong, as you can see in Straight Outta Compton with Jerry Heller and NWA. It's a big thread in that movie that there's this strained relationship between Jewish and black people through their shared oppression, but also the fact that one is able to, pass as white and still get a nominal white privilege while, still being a minority as well. It's, the larger thing about anti-Semitism is the Jews are this, subhuman weasel rat-like race, but also we're the most powerful and the smartest and the crafty. It's you have this constant dual status where you're one thing but also another, which is why I think conspiracy theories get put onto us. And also, the reason why you see Jewish people higher up in media is not necessarily a function of Judaism, but a function of white privilege. Because Jews pass as white, they're given a pass to the white halls of power, I think is, maybe a better explanation for it. But yeah, I think the Jews who do aspire to that Christendom, to that version of whiteness, are inevitably doomed, as Howie is in Uncut Gems. He is punished for his exploitation of his black brothers.
Yeah. In this essay, Baldwin goes on to basically lay the blame at the foot of Christianity, which is interesting. I recommend reading the essay. The last sentence is, "The crisis taking place in the world and in the minds and hearts of black men everywhere is not produced by the Star of David, but by the old rugged Roman cross on which Christendom's most celebrated Jew was murdered, and not by Jews." So he blames the Italians, which I think is completely correct, okay? Where they're coming over here with their mafias and their spaghettis, and then the different colored spaghettis, and you got to separate
And
all
the sour spaghettis, you got to separate your spaghettis into different guys.
You can't have the green spaghettis with the red spaghettis, and it's the Haribo. It's, it's crazy that we let them do this.
Absolutely. Anti-Italian racism should absolutely... It's not really racism.
Well, I don't know. It used to be. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like not that long ago, but I think it's still, there is, I don't know. It's a spectrum.
Really.
Racism's a spectrum.
I think like a couple years ago, like a year or two ago on Twitter, it was anti-Italian slurs were all the rage because you can get away with it because it's like Italians have, there's no seriously virulent anti-Italian sentiment in the West anymore, which is why people think it's fine to joke about, me included. I think it's probably fine to joke about. I see no pogroms on Italian people coming up in the near future, but who knows? Maybe if Kanye pivots to anti-Italian hatred, it'll happen.
Did you know that 600,000 Italian Americans experienced some form of restrictions during World War II placed on them because of enemy alien status?
It happened to Japanese Americans as well.
And Germans.
Yeah.
Not to mention the Germans.
We'll do our own racism. We got our own racism back at home.
Yeah, well,
but, that's a...
Kanye's being dropped by every major fashion company and every major endorsement deal.
He was dropped by Adidas, and you know who started Adidas.
It's so funny because everyone was like, yeah, it took Adidas like way longer than every other company. Because they're like,
Oh, I don't know about this. He has a few points, you guys. He's bringing up a lot of good points. And then he went to Skechers. He tried to get a deal with Skechers, which was really funny.
Yeah.
Going to the Duplo of sneakers.
Hey, I just bought some Duplos. Duplos are better than Legos. Okay? They're bigger.
Yeah.
You can build higher with less.
Kid can't eat them.
Your kid cannot swallow them. Yeah, that's correct. Why don't you get into Duplos?
I bet a bunch of kids have swallowed Duplos, and they are the pioneers, really.
Yeah. I mean, a corn-fed American fat baby. Big enough to...
Oh, no, we bought the Duplos, but he's eating all the Duplos. They're too big.
We thought the Duplos would be big. Do they have anything bigger than Duplos?
Yeah, and the kid's fine. He's just walking around and he's rattling. Yeah, the Dutch, they have to make their extra... Okay, now we have to make triplos because the Duplos, proved too small for the large American children and they enhanced gullets.
There are, at the library, they have these giant, Legos that are huge. They're like quadruplos or something.
Yeah, quadruplos.
But yeah, Duplos are fun. My kid cannot yet really build anything, but she likes to rummage around in the box.
That's a good feeling. It's a good textural sensation to rummage around in
a box of Legos or Duplos.
Yeah, it makes a pleasing, tapered, soft grinding noise.
So we got to get to the meat of the episode.
The meat of the episode? Yeah, speaking of dynasties, which we weren't really...
We weren't.
Here, my last word on Kanye, I will say, he's mentally ill. The reason why you see people cutting him slack more than you see people cutting J.K. Rowling slack is because he is proudly saying he was off his meds because of Jewish people. He is obviously mentally ill, which is why I think... Maybe not slack is the right word, but this is obviously coming from a place that's less informed by malice and more informed by, a lot of people letting him down and, his brain not being right and fame making you crazy.
And the other thing, the kind of medicine he has to take sucks. Has serious side effects, and it sucks, and it makes it so he probably can't read. I know he said he said he doesn't read books.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, what an idiot. If he's bipolar, then the medicine he has to take probably makes it so he can't read very well. So I
listen,
know.
Kanye is disabled, and that's why he needs... That's what we're doing, ableism on Kanye. Everyone needs to stop doing ableism on Kanye. Okay, now we'll stop this thread.
I mean, kind of. Kind of. I don't know. It's like
who knows?
He needs to take his meds, but the meds he has to take also suck. So it's a difficult position to be in.
And I don't know. Oh, he should have accountability. You know. Oh, he should have.
Come on. What does that mean? What does that mean, accountability? That's just
he's already lost all of his sponsors. You know, he's already.
Yeah. What is that? Oh, you okay? Louis C.K. He got to be accountable. He's accountable. You know what? Should he apologize?
I guess he was.
Should he apologize like Louis did? And then what?
He did apologize. Did he apologize? Kanye hasn't apologized for the anti-Semitism. Who cares?
Kanye apologized for Louis.
Kanye apologized
Kanye
for
was
Louis?
Like, you know who made you do that? You know who was hiding behind the bush behind you?
It was, you're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say it. I'll say it was a Jewish man who was making your hand masturbate your penis in front of those women.
He was moving your hand up and down really fast. That's who did it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's behind, the Jews are behind all of the the Jews are behind Chris D'Elia, taking down a proud Italian man. Geez, I didn't know it. There was a Jewish guy behind me who was making my body move like Weekend at Bernie's. Geez.
Yeah, all the Me Too guys, they're like, they line up behind Kanye and they're like, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And all the Jewish Me Too guys are just like left out in the dust. There.
Yeah. Poor Mr. Weinstein. I think didn't all of his teeth fall out, Harvey Weinstein?
I thought I don't know if he's dead yet. He seems to be in pretty rough shape in prison, but who knows?
He's gonna die in prison.
Yeah. Who would care, though? Who among us would care? And speaking of rapists dying in prison, it's Game of Thrones. Or more, it's House of the Dragon.
House of the Declining Dragon.
House of the Declining, Haus of the Dragon. That is what we'll call the episode, probably.
Most likely.
And we both love it. We think it's great.
Love House of the Dragon. Let me just get the first and only critique I really have right off the bat. Lighten it up, folks.
Yeah, it's cinematically, it's very dark.
Take a cue from, is it Jordan Peele and the Get Out crew?
Yeah.
Learn how to film in the dark. Because you do not know how to do it. And the entire episode is like just dark shapes moving. The Nope crew. Yeah, because the Nope scenes were day for night, which you're generally not supposed to do, but they still look good. You can still tell what the fuck is happening in the scene, which is good. Yeah, Nope. I meant to say Nope when I said Get Out. I was reading some article about it. They were like, they invented some new way of doing it that made it look really good.
The cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema basically overlays Hoyte van Hoytema. He overlays a UV camera over a regular 35 millimeter camera, and the UV gives you it allows you to give temperature fidelity or something. I don't know. I have no idea how it works.
He's Dutch Swedish.
He's Dutch Swedish. The Dutch Swedish man, Hoyte van Hoytema.
He's got a giganto double chin.
That's what you need. That's
cool.
That probably is what inspired his double camera method.
He's such a badass.
It is really the day for night scenes. Like, I know you're not supposed to do day for night, but the day for night Nope looks really good. Anyway, back to the dragons. Yeah, the cinematography is good in a lot of places, actually. It has some of the best CG I've ever seen, the best modern CG around. And, like, when the scenes switch to full CG with the dragon battles, it looks very good. And the lighting is usually better for the all CG sequences, which is funny.
I mean, I don't really care about that anymore. I don't care about how shit looks. I care about, like, good writing and good characters, basically.
It would be cool, though, because it would be cool if it had, like, a Barry Lyndon aesthetic, because I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to do all natural light, and, like, the gold standard for that is Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, which is the movie which uses all natural light. And maybe they're trying to, like, get across how, like, gray this period was, but it doesn't seem like that, because this is supposed to be, at least in the first season, still a period of prosperity for Westeros. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, like I said, I don't care too much how it looks, but I was very impressed by the character building.
Yes,
I think that's what I like the most about the show, because in contrast to the Rings of Power, or I think it's called that, which has very flat characters that don't really develop. You have a great cast of characters who all have very interesting arcs. I really like the arc of Sir Kristen.
Yeah, how you like him at first, but then he turns out to be spoilers for House of the Dragon.
Some
by
spoilers
the way.
from here on out.
Yeah.
Sir Kristen turns into the funniest asshole.
Yeah,
Just you love to hate him. There's a couple of characters. There's maybe 3 characters you just love to hate. Sir Kristen, the Queen Alicent, and then her father Otto Hightower.
and also her shitty son Aegon II.
I don't hate him at all. I like
Oh,
him.
you don't hate him because you sympathize with him because he is also having hard times with alcoholism.
Yeah, he just wants to like party and get laid. He doesn't want to, live up to his family burden of becoming king. He just wants to have a good time, and that's cool, I think he's going to turn into a shitty guy.
Yeah, he's eventually going to... He seems like he's sort of feckless and lazy. So let's get into a brief summary of the plot for people who haven't... I guess it's spoilers,
Well,
so
yeah,
you know what's going on in the show.
We're gonna summarize the... We can't spend
Yeah,
time
you're right. Who
summarizing
cares?
the plot.
Let's summarize the plot. Who cares? But what I found interesting from it is how it's like correcting for a lot of the flaws in the earlier Game of Thrones series, and because in the last season of Game of Thrones, people chided it for having so many time skips, when previously, like, Game of Thrones had been all about people taking a very long time to travel anywhere, and that was, like, an essential part of the character building and sort of the atmosphere of the show. Whereas in this show is all about the time skips. There's tons of time skips in it, and the show is better for it because they can go to the moments across dynasties. I think that, like, if the original Game of Thrones was about space and about people traveling over space and, gaining, even that's like the original Game of Thrones is the map of Westeros. It's essentially about the geography of the world and how the geography shapes it. This is about time.
Well,
the opening of it is about the lineage of the Targaryens.
It's also bloodlines, though. So, because they get into, a lot of the bloodline stuff, like... one of the main character, Rhaenyra, has 3 children who are, spoilers again, not legitimate. And they don't, and it's interesting because none of her 3 children have the characteristic Targaryen neon blonde, almost white hair. And so the whispers around court are that they are illegitimate children, and that's, most of what the show is about.
Yeah.
It's not non-thematically, just like plot-wise. It's like, are these kids legitimate and people are going to challenge them? And, the other part of the show is that she is a woman who is supposed to assume the Iron Throne, and ain't no lady ever done that before.
Yeah, there's precedent against male heirs of inheritance. What are you, stupid? Jaehaerys took male heirs over, who's the lady that's married to Corlys Velaryon? Is she Rhaenys?
Yeah, Rhaenys, the cousin.
Rhaenys, yeah. The super Karen-y looking one. I know you're not supposed to call them Karens, but she's not really Karen.
What do you mean them?
I don't know.
When you say them,
Karen has fallen out of it, like
who's them?
stern-looking white women.
I don't know. She seems okay.
I also like how the show handles like diversity as well, where you're talking about in comparison to the Rings of Power, where they have black hobbits, and the black hobbits are fine. People get upset about them. Who cares? But this show, it actually matters that like Corlys Velaryon has dark skin because it matters for lineage. Like it's actually a plot point.
So Ross Douthat had a big op-ed in the Times recently comparing and contrasting Ring of Power and House of the Dragon, and he gets into the racial stuff. And he says stuff that I said about the what was the other Amazon show, the fantasy
Wheel
one?
of Time
Wheel
or
of
whatever.
Time. Yeah. So like, but he kind of really gets into the
he gets really intense about it because he's Ross Douthat and he's a crazy
so his
person.
main point is like in Lord of the Rings, like each individual society is diverse in a way that makes it seem like it doesn't matter and that is kind of unbelievable. And so in hobbits, there's black hobbits and white hobbits. With elves, there's black elves and white elves. With dwarves, there's black elves and white dwarves.
Yeah.
And he's like, this doesn't make any sense. I do not really agree. I think it does. It's fine.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's like each race is like a college campus and it's perfectly diverse. And it's like, well, sorry, dude.
Why wouldn't it be? What is preventing?
It's really weird. It's a weird thing to write a lot of like words about. But then he contrasts it with House of the Dragon, where there's one family who's black, like the Valarians, and then they marry some white people, and then they have multiracial kids. And he's like, so in Game of Thrones, it actually matters, and you actually see, and they're actually acknowledging.
Oh, great! I'm making the same point as Ross Death.
Basically, yeah. So it's a weird to do that, but I don't care that they do that in Lord of the Rings. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you just allow yourself to suspend your disbelief a little bit more, then you're just like, okay, there's black elves and there's white elves. Why wouldn't there be? I know. And then he's like, well, Tolkien he's making a myth for Great Britain, and it's mythology, and of course they must be white. But it seems weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I'm sure even during medieval times there were probably black people in England.
Oh yeah, there were. Definitely.
Yeah, people get into a bunch because like what Tolkien represents to them is this past tradition that is better. Even like Tolkien himself, everything is about something in the past that was better.
Of course, there was Carthaginians. There were Moors. There were tons of it's not like it was unknown or unheard of.
Yeah. So you're hearkening back to this. It's also funny that it takes place on the battleground of these beloved media properties, because I think Lord of the Rings to a lot of people is supposed to be like apolitical. This is just an adventure. You shouldn't read anything about, modern day into this. It is pure fantasy, and it is an articulation of our highest values of good versus evil. There's this sort of, I'm not saying Lord of the Rings is stodgy and traditionalist, but it tends to attract a lot of stodgy traditionalists.
And like the thing that Douthit is harping on is so annoying, because like a black person and a white person can have a baby that appears either white or black, or can appear to be multiracial. But he assumes that whenever two people of different races procreate, they have an equally
a perfect down the middle,
a perfectly split down the middle race. So he's like doing all this weird race science in his head in the background, and you can just like hear the German national anthem faintly in the background when you read.
He's frantically pouring liquid into various test tubes, the race liquid into those tubes.
Why do you have why are you so preoccupied with that? You can't just enjoy the $1 billion Lord of the Rings shit, which I have to say, with Lord of the Rings, it's very not good, but the last episode is finally like a decent episode. So I have somewhat higher hopes for the second season. Like with Lord of the Rings, I watch all of it, even though I hate Tolkien. So for me, I don't care if it's bad or not. I don't like Tolkien, but I watch it because I'm a fantasy fan,
You're a fantasy.
That's right. So let's get back to more House of the Dragon.
And more House of the Dragon. But we can compare and contrast to Tolkien, because obviously Gurm and everyone else is very inspired by Tolkien in the mythology making. What I like about this show, and part of what it's correcting from the old Game of Thrones, is it's a lot less casually misogynistic than the old Game of Thrones show, which had there are a lot less gratuitous rape scenes in this one.
Well, there's also in the House of the Dragon, there's 5 birthing scenes.
Yeah, it's all about, the horrible, what women go through in this time. It's very woman-focused, this show.
So many graphic birthing scenes, where the worst outcomes. There's the 2 worst outcomes possible for birthing are depicted. Yeah. Cesarean, where both the mother and the baby die, and then stillbirth.
Yeah.
And then there's just a couple of birthing scenes where everything's fine.
Yeah, but it's still horrible and nightmarish because they didn't have no technologies back then.
Well, they had milk of the poppy.
And they did have heroin. They're constantly giving heroin. Of course, the standout of the first season is Paddy Considine as King Viserys.
Yeah, he's going to win an Emmy, I think.
He should win an Emmy. Because what I like about the show, too, is it's the ultimate, it had me in the back half. I didn't know in the first half where it was going, but then it immediately got me in the back half with how it developed. Mm-hmm. And it was like nice not knowing the source material, not knowing where it was going. Because at first I thought, why did they cast this guy who looks like just a bloke you meet down at the pub for King Viserys Targaryen, who's supposed to be, even though he's like this normal guy, he's a Targaryen, right? He's supposed to be sort of ethereal and otherworldly. But then the casting is apparent because, no, Viserys is a normal man. This is what happens when, like, a normal, decent person gets the throne. Mm-hmm. They got all fucked up from it, and it destroys them, and they make terrible decisions, which, like, you have to be sort of a tyrant and a weirdo in order to wield power correctly, which is a ongoing thesis of the series.
Yeah, I was talking about that with my partner, like who is the ideal leader for the Iron Throne, and I was saying, like, I think out of all of them, Otto Hightower shows the most competence. Mm-hmm. Right? And my partner's rejoinder was, well, just being a manipulative asshole doesn't mean you're suited to be the best leader, but I'm not convinced. I think Otto Hightower might be the best. He would be probably a much better leader than Viserys, at least.
Well, I think if anyone, it should probably be Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, who seems to consistently make the best decisions throughout the show, or maybe not.
Corlys is he does kind of abandon Rhaenys and goes off and fights this war for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So that is not necessarily the greatest decision to just
but you need to fight that war in order to preserve the shipping lanes, which is, important for the Westerosi supply chain. That's the real meat of like Daemon does the dirty work for Viserys and, gives him declares himself the king of the Narrow Sea and gives him the crown, to the effect of Viserys. You need someone like, ideally someone who would be a combination of Daemon and Viserys, someone who is both able to be callow, but also, vicious in the way you need to be as a leader in this horrible, awful world that they have. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think Corlys probably would be the best option now that I think about it. And it seems like, in the last episode, he's down but not out. So hopefully he'll be advising Rhaenyra. I mean, that's sort of what we're set up for is season 2 Civil War.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be between the Greens and the Blacks.
Yeah, I thought that was just like an online thing, but then in the show they start referring to them as the Greens and the Blacks.
The Greens are from the Reach, the High Towers, and the Blacks they dress in black and from Dragonstone.
Seems like everyone dresses in black in this show, but
yeah. It's a dark show. It's a dark-ass show.
It's a very dark green, if it's a green.
One thing, the show gets really right, is the fucking dragons. Dragons look so fucking good. They look like they really studied and thought about the anatomy of these creatures and how they work and, what they would have to do in order to achieve flight. There's a real heft and weight to them. There's a real character to the individual dragons. Eventually you start, at first, they have all these very similar names, but you start learning about what defines them, how they vary in size greatly, and how scary that can be. The season finale was fantastic. I have to say that final sequence in the season finale when Aemond, on the back of Vhagar, the largest dragon in the land, is hunting down poor Lucerys on Arrax, and they're going through there's that one great shot where you see Lucerys ascending through the storm clouds, and then lightning strikes, and behind him you see Vhagar, who's this gigantic fucking dragon. It's like becomes apparent the gulf in power between these two creatures, even though dragons are powerful, but they're more powerful dragons too. A great way of visually illustrating that.
Wasn't the little dragon like a really young dragon?
Yeah.
Like he's probably really young. But the character Aemond is great. He's a very fun, the older version, of course. He's very fun.
Yeah.
Everyone was commenting on how he's like an anime villain.
Yeah, because he has an eye patch. He's like competent and ruthless. He has a grudge because he's a second son, and his shiftless, drunken older brother is the one who inherits the crown.
Yeah, so he's going to be trying to get that throne.
Absolutely,
definitely. They really set up a real Game of Thrones.
It's real Game of Thrones.
My one criticism is that I said that. And I'm like, boy, this is really turning out to be a real Game of Thrones again. It's really kind of a Game of Thrones where they're all trying to get on that throne. But yeah, I agree about the dragons. I'm hoping that the team that makes these dragons, starts doing some Anne McCaffrey TV shows. You know Anne McCaffrey?
No, who's Anne McCaffrey?
Anne McCaffrey wrote the Dragon Riders of Pern.
Anne
McCaffrey was the first woman to win a Hugo Award.
I masturbate my peen to Pern.
And she was also the first woman to win a Nebula Award. And she wrote dragon books that were really popular. My sister loved them, read all of them. They were pretty advanced for me because I was like 8 or 9. But so I never really got into them, but I would get into them again. And it's really good. If people like these dragon shows,
people like dragons. They're all the rage right now. It's dragons.
Yeah, hit up those Anne McCaffrey books because everyone was like, "Wow, what fantasy? Fantasy's big. What fantasy should we do?" And a lot of people like David Eddings, but of course, David Eddings served a year in jail for abusing a child, so he's canceled.
Okay, yeah, that's a good reason to cancel someone.
He was in the 70s.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine then.
Everyone was doing it.
Jimmy Page, whatever.
David Eddings was my favorite fantasy author growing up, and I read all of his books multiple times. And a lot of people on Twitter hate him now because basically it wasn't like it was covered up; it was just forgotten. But in like 1971, he and his wife both were arrested for abusing a 4-year-old that they adopted. They kept him in the basement and beat him up.
Yeah. No, that's very bad. That's monstrous.
They kept him in the basement. They beat him and they didn't feed him for a long time. I don't know how long, but it was bad enough, at least for him to go to jail. Both of them to go to jail for a year, and that's when he sort of became a writer.
Well, sometimes.
So yeah, David Eddings is canceled. His books are still pretty good, though. So if you can separate the art from the artists, and I recommend them. But if you can't, don't read them. And I guess they're probably not going to make a David Eddings show because of that. But Anne McCaffrey, as far as I know, didn't do anything. But there's also what's that lady on Wait, Don't Tell Me? What's her name?
No, I don't know her name. Why are you listening to NPR? You're an NPR guy now?
Who's the female comedian who wears the suits?
Paula Poundstone?
Yeah, Paula Poundstone. Look up Paula Poundstone on Wikipedia.
Yeah, early in our show, we commented on this, how Paula Poundstone has a controversy in her past. It's a little more complicated than she's just a pedophile, but... Yeah, reading the Paula Poundstone controversies page.
Well, she also was arrested for child endangerment and then charged with 3 counts of lewd acts upon a girl younger than 14.
Yes. That's not good.
So, people are shitty.
I mean, yeah, but who could forget, the great artistic contributions of Paula Poundstone, I'm just, separate the art from the artist. Is what I'm saying with Paula Poundstone.
Okay, so final thoughts on House of the Dragon, because there are some shitty people as well. The relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon is. I thought people weren't gonna watch the show after that. It was shocking. What do you have to say about that?
The uncle and the uncle-niece incest relationship, where he's been grooming her since episode 1.
Yeah.
I think, it's normal. It's normal for the time, That's what they're expected to do.
So you're making some kind of historical.
Well, I'm just saying it's not creepy, but that's sort of like Game of Thrones has always trafficked in incest. It's taboo, which is why, you want to see more of it, because it's like, you're not supposed to, you can't be showing this. This is fucked up. So I think, people are attracted to it for that reason. Why wouldn't you? From the first episode of Game of Thrones, the big plot point is that it's brother-sister incest that affects the lineage of the king, right?
Yep.
So,
and I think there's some more. Isn't
the first episode literally has a couple of scenes of brother-sister incest.
I know, but isn't in House of the Dragon, doesn't Aegon marry his sister? Like, isn't that blonde
Yeah,
woman?
Aegon marries Helena.
Isn't that his sister?
Yeah, that's his sister, his sister wife. It's a common thing for Targaryens. That's what they do. But I think also it's sort of clear that Daemon, Rhaenyra, who is strong-headed and, independent and likes to break rules, even she sort of yields to this older male authority figure that has situated himself throughout her life. I do think they probably have a genuine love for each other, but I don't know. I don't know if that relationship will go south in the end, though.
Well, he did do that thing where he choked her, she didn't like that. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Like, and for you to make a historical argument, it's weird because this shit's made up, and it's not like, incest of that sort was never that okay in medieval times.
Yeah, but this is like, in the world of Game of Thrones, the Targaryens are special. They can do what they want because they have the dragons, and incest was common for them.
It seems
they
like
belong to a weird
dragons,
ancient culture.
Yeah, so they're the only family that can do the dragon stuff.
The reason why they are also obsessed with incest is because they don't want to lose the ability to ride dragons, because Targaryens are said to have the blood of the dragon, which literally is their connection to the dragons, why they can talk to them and understand them and control them.
Is that just like a thing that they made up to stay in power, or is that for real?
We don't know. That's the thing, is that Game of Thrones is all about people saying stuff is one way, and like prophecies not being fulfilled, or being fulfilled in sort of a weird or destructive way, and people letting their biases influence their interpretation of prophecies. I'm trying to think of other standout characters besides King Viserys are, of course, Aemond, we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Aemond
and the anime
fun.
villain. Yeah.
Daemon is fun. Eyebrowless Matt Smith, I think. Right?
Yeah. Eyebrowless Matt Smith,
he's not bad.
obviously.
He's not a bad actor.
No, he's a great actor. I'm a Doctor Who fan. I liked him in Doctor Who. He was frequently the best thing about those very poorly written seasons of Doctor Who. He's got a natural charisma precisely because he looks like that. Precisely because he's like, oh, now I look weird, but it's charming in a way, and he pulls it off, I think.
Who else is good?
As you were saying before, Kristen Cole, he just turns out to be this guy that's in the first 3 episodes is depicted as a white knight, but it turns out as a self-loathing thuggish creep who murders a gay man.
And yeah, he savagely murders a gay man. He murders a lot of people in cold blood just because he's got like rage he's like boiling with rage. He's obviously in love with the queen.
But he feels conflicted about it because he's a Kingsguard and now he's an Oathbreaker.
Really weird thing that he says. Do you remember this line he says about women?
No, what does he say? What does he say?
Like, every woman is a mother that must be respected. So he's got mommy issues.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he doesn't like Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra goes on, has sex with someone else, and I think he stopped liking Rhaenyra when they had sex, because he's got this Madonna whore complex, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which is why eventually you see him hooking up with Alicent, who's all, she is rule follower. She's Miss Madonna. She follows the light of the seven, and she's very judgmental about people that break it.
I think she manipulates men by like making them sort of devoted to her in a sexual way, like the crippled guy who's jerking off to her. And it seems like she's kind of aware. Like, she takes off her stockings in front of him as a way to like sort of enslave him. So she does all of these manipulations and then feels badly about it afterwards. So she's an interesting character.
The two factions of the Game of Thrones, the Greens largely represent using rule of law and placed law and values and order in order to gain power, whereas the blacks represent conquest and using sort of violence and warfare and muscle to gain power. And one is represented where the high towers are all about using the rules and manipulating the rules of the system in order to situate themselves into places. Rhaenyra is all about breaking and flaunting those rules and, not doing what you're supposed to do. And eventually, she goes with Daemon, who went on a 6-year war that he was not supposed to do, but which eventually bore fruit for the realm.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and now after the final episode, we have to wait until the next election year, 2024, and then I'm sure there's going to be plenty of memes where it's Biden versus Trump, and it'll be the Greens and the Blacks with Biden and Trump, and because Trump
who's going to be who?
Trump is Damon, and his
Trump is Damon.
He's going to marry Ivanka,
right? Of course. Incest. They say you're not supposed to do it. Should we mention it? They say we shouldn't mention it. My friend, Kanye. They say he wasn't supposed to say it. That's what one of the features of Trump is. He's always saying things that they're telling us we can't say it.
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm always saying that on this podcast. You're always pushing the boundaries, and they're not allowing us to say it. They're not going to do it.
I don't push any boundaries.
You're pushing boundaries. You push boundaries with feeding tube John. Good old feeding tube John.
Imagine there's no soda.
Imagine a series of shapes. I can't. I guess he didn't talk like that. Oh, imagine a series of shapes. Yeah. I can't because of the shrapnel lodged in my brain.
Oh, well, I was watching the Get Back on Disney Plus.
What did you learn about the Beatles? They were fun-loving guys.
Well, at one point, Peter Sellers comes to visit.
Ew, he's a creep.
Well, he just got really uncomfortable. John Lennon made him feel really uncomfortable. I didn't know Peter Sellers is a creep.
I don't think he's. I don't know he's a creep. I think he has weird vibes. Peter Sellers. He always gave me incredibly weird vibes.
Well,
I always sense something strange. I don't think he's been proven to be a creep or anything like that.
Well, I can see. Daily Mail from 2020. Biographer reveals the shattering truth about Peter Sellers.
Oh no! What happened with Peter Sellers? He did brownface a lot.
I think it was that he was mean to his wife.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't say whatever, but
it's apparently he was a monster.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure.
Well,
who knows? Who knows? Talk about a great British dynasty. Which is what Game of Thrones is. They're British. Although earlier today I made a tweet about how it would be funnier if the Targaryens talked like the Kennedys. And someone in my replies said that in an early interview, Gurm said that Westerosi people don't have British accents. They actually do have American accents, like New Jersey and Boston accents. Which I think would be so good. Imagine if everyone from King's Landing talked like this. Oh, they're talking about the King's Cock.
So that's
we're having a gallon of mead.
That's why that guy Littlefinger was able to talk like that.
Yeah, Littlefinger with the most implaceable accent on earth. Hello, it is me, Littlefinger. I talk like a pedophile. My accent is pedophile.
Well, everyone, you need to visit houseofdecline.com. You need to visit patreon.com/houseofdecline. You need to visit store.houseofdecline.com and check out all of our comics and extra podcasts. It's been a wonderful episode, and we will see you next week.
Bye.